Hey, thanks for joining. I hope your 2024 is off to a great start. I know we had a nice break. It's been a few weeks since we've put any videos out, and we've got some big plans for this year as far as our video series and our Parcel Fair's website as well. A lot of new features, new states being added. And today, what we want to do is go through what we know so far about the 2024 auction season. So you can consider this like your guide to 2024 auction planning. And we're going to cover the states and markets that Parcel Fair covers right now. And we're going to cover some at the end that we don't cover yet. We're going to talk about some of the states we're adding or in the process of adding. And just overall walk through how you would plan these auctions out throughout the course of the year. Just know in advance that things change. A lot of these seasons are based on previous years, and we may get a curveball where a state decides to change their season up or a county falls into a different month. We've seen it happen before. So this is going to be directional. It's the best we know at this point. And the best way to stay on top of those changes is going to be subscribe to our channel. We have a news edition that comes out every other week that tells you auctions that are new, auctions that have moved, maybe they've been canceled. That happens a lot. And so we talk about that every other week on here, and as well as some individual videos that we do on each market. So these individual states I'm going to cover at a high level today so we can get through all of them. But if you want to know more about any state that you see in this video, we have individual videos on this channel for the different states. So if you want to learn about redemptions and interest rates, just put a pin in this video when you get to the state you want to learn more about, and then watch our in-depth video that's going to go cover that specific market in much more detail. So today we're talking high level, we're talking 2024, and we're going to help you lay out your plan for the year for what you want to do with your tax property investing. So to start with, this is a grid of all the states that we currently track. And some of these states have multiple things going on. They may have liens and deeds, foreclosures, over-the-counters. And I'm going to try to not cover over-the-counters today. They're here for reference just to show you the states that we have over-the-counter properties for. And we're really just going to try to cover auctions. So let's start with Arizona. You'll notice Arizona has two tracks here. They have liens and deeds, which are also available over-the-counter throughout the year. But right here at the beginning of the year, you're starting to research and plan these auctions out, because February we get the tax lien auctions, and then in March we have some of both. There could be more deed auctions throughout the year. We're just basing this on what we know so far. So let's flip over and see Parcel Fair. We're looking at the auction calendar. You can access it on the tools menu at the top of the page. Also from our homepage, actually, the auction calendar is this big purple button if you're just at parcelfair.com and want to find it. We've selected Arizona. We're looking at 2023 first, where there were 15 tax lien auctions. And if you want to refer back to these, you can totally do that. You would basically just click on list or map here. And if you want to see what was advertised, you click that. It looks like there were 38 parcels in this auction, and it was pretty light for that one. But we do have historical auction tracking if you want to go back in time and see what was offered in previous years. So every county will have their tax lien auction in February. Some of the counties will have tax deed auctions throughout the year. And I apologize, the tax lien auctions can go into March as well. The over-the-counters really come in a few weeks after that. So let's take a look at 2024 and talk about the auctions we already know about. We've seen some announced auctions, but we actually have this tax deed auction for Yuma already available with 84 properties on the map if you want to check that out. So that's on the website today. Now, tax deeds in Arizona, these are going to be 7 years at least delinquent. So they've already cleared tax lien auctions, they've cleared over the counter, and have actually turned into tax deeds while sitting on the state inventory. So it's mostly vacant land at this point. If you're something that's 7 years delinquent, it's been very picked over by now. But that's, for instance, if you wanted to research that auction, you could view the map, or you could view the list of it this way. So again, Arizona tax liens are going to be the heavy part of the season, and then some tax deeds scattered throughout the year, and then over the counter the rest of the year. So moving right along, good pace here. Indiana, It's going to have two major tax lien seasons, which you can see illustrated here. You're going to have the spring auctions, and then you're going to have the fall auctions. And there's so much you need to learn about how those two auctions are different. There's a difference between treasurer sales and commissioner sales that it's important to know. It includes the interest rate rules, the redemption rules, where to actually bid. And so it's important, if you want to know more about Indiana, this video is not going to give you everything. You're going to need to go dig in with our other Indiana videos. I will say we don't have over-the-counter properties in Indiana, but we know that some tax deed auctions are supposed to start happening more frequently in a small handful of counties. I don't have visibility on that yet, so you do not see it on the calendar here. If you keep track with our site, we'll let you know if and when those are announced. But you'll also see this thick band of foreclosures that goes from January all the way to December. That's the foreclosure auctions in Indiana. These are also listed on Parcel Fair for your research. And let's go check out the calendar, and let's go ahead and look at 2024 to begin with. You can see we'll filter in the top right by foreclosures only, since we're talking about that. And you can see there's already some auctions completed just in the first few days. And then we have foreclosure auctions picking up and running months into the future. We're tracking all the way into April already. So the foreclosures are a steady stream throughout the year. If we look at tax auctions, we have a few already on the site. These are going to be those lien certificate sales, and they're already a few scheduled out through March. Some of them have properties already advertised, some of them do not. So that's going to be those spring sales in this area right here. And again, the best way to keep track of this is just stay tuned. We will talk about it several times throughout the month and throughout the year. Moving on to Maryland, it's a funny auction season. Most of their tax lien auctions happen between March and June, but every year there's this one little tax lien auction hanging out in October or later in the year, which is usually Baltimore County. Baltimore City is different. It's going to be more in the May-June timeframe, but Baltimore County is out in October. And let's check out the calendar for Maryland, and let's look at last year, 2023, because we don't really have anything in 2024 yet to show you. But you can see March had one auction, and then April had an auction. The heaviest part of the season would have been May with a dozen auctions here. And then lastly, June had 9 auctions, and then it sort of goes cold. Then October, you can see Baltimore County out here by itself. These are going to be tax liens, and we have videos to help you understand how those auctions work. If that season is interesting to you, I highly recommend checking out our videos about Maryland auctions. Alabama, one of the trickiest ones on the list here, but we'll walk you through it. So you'll notice that we have OTC reseller season. Actually, that actually goes year-round, the OTC resellers. Any month that you want to do it, you can buy over-the-counter or buy from these resellers on the secondary market. But the lien insert is what we have here that's kind of confusing. So if you take a look at Alabama on the auction calendar last year, you'll notice April through June. So April, there were 9, then 32, then you kind of dwindle by the time June rolls around. But these auctions go county by county. Each county gets one auction. And as of this year, about 2/3 of the counties in Alabama have gone to the tax lien online auctions on GovEase. For the most part, most of them are GovEase. And those are 12% tax lien auctions. They're for closable liens. There are still about 1/3 of the counties in the old system, we call it, which those are tax certificates that turn into tax deeds. So remember, this new system, 2/3 of the county are in it. Those are 12% tax liens that are foreclosable at 3 years. The old system, which 1/3 of the counties are still under, those are the tax certificates that mature into tax deeds after 3 years. And those tax certificates and deeds are the ones that you can take immediate possession of. And that's why investors that want to use the property prefer the old system. The interest rate in the old system is only 8%, so it's not great if you're like a lien investor going for a high interest on a big portfolio. But the new system, those new tax liens, they're at 12%. So that's for contrast there. You can see why people invest in the different areas. The old system, those tax certificates that mature into tax deeds, those are going to be all in-person auctions. And the majority of the new tax lien auctions are going to be online with govies.com. And it's a moving target. There may be more counties that have announced that we haven't heard yet that are going to the new system, but right now we're looking at about 2/3 in the new system. It's worth noting that OTC and reseller secondary market in Alabama is very strong. Tens of thousands of properties available at any given time. And some of these are the most useful properties as far as structures or higher value. So Alabama does have a thick over-the-counter season. Some people ignore the auctions and just shop over the counter even because it's so appealing. Okay, moving along to Mississippi. Mississippi, by state law, allows 2 days or two auctions officially per year. One in April and one at the end of August. They call these spring and fall sales, even though April we can say is definitely spring. August, especially Mississippi, still feels like summer. So it's the last day of August is typically when it happens. And the August sale, you're going to see every county. Unless they have nothing to sell, you're going to see all of the counties have properties go to tax lien auctions. Those are all online, and they are all at govies.com. So it's very consistent across the entire state, very uniform and strict about when they have that fall auction at the end of August. We have a great video that covers in depth if you want to learn about how to bid and how to research those. But let's flip over and talk about April. The spring auction is going to be a much smaller auction because it's actually some of the leftovers that did not sell in August roll over to the next April. We've seen as few as maybe 5 to 8 counties sometimes actually participate in that. So we'll know when those auctions get announced how many counties will actually participate, but it's going to be a county by county basis, and those liens, if they're not purchased, actually roll over into that OTC inventory. They do become deeds, and the state forecloses on them in advance. So you actually are buying something with a quiet title action applied to it by Mississippi, I believe. I know there's additional steps in that foreclosure process, but we're not going to get into that right now. Different topic for a different day. So let's check out Mississippi on the calendar. And you can see in 2023 there were a dozen spring auctions here in April, and they happen the same week. And then you'll notice August, on the 28th, the end of August, all the other auctions happened on the same day. There were 82 auctions, and some of them have multiple districts even for the county. So one day, a lot of auctions. And if you want to go back and reference what went to the auction on any of these, remember we have the history here. You can see the properties on a list if you want to go check out what sold in the city of Oxford, and these are the properties that went to auction. You can also go back to older years. You can go to 2022 in this case. Some of our states, actually, I didn't show you this, like Alabama, you can go back to 2018 and look at auction history from way back. So yeah, that's Mississippi, and it's 2023, the spring and fall sales. Okay, moving on to Utah. So Utah is one of the states that we just added recently. And last year we only tracked 1 month of auctions, and it was in May. So it's still a relatively new state for us, and we don't have any OTCs tracked on the website, which is why you don't see the OTCs in gray there. But ultimately, if you have interest in Utah, we have a few users that have given us counties to watch this year, and we intend to track those auctions. In addition, if you know any over-the-counter counties in Utah you'd like for us to put on the website so you can see them, let us know. We kind of do some of the states like Utah based on your demand from our user base, and if there's enough interest, we will keep adding to that market until we get full coverage. So, Florida. Florida has so many ways to buy. On that top band, we're just looking at the lien auctions. They have these 18% tax liens with redemption penalty on those liens, which makes it very appealing as a tax lien state. And there's also a very large supply that goes to that auction at the end of May and early June. And then if you don't buy in those months, there's a healthy OTC market for liens year round. There's also over-the-counter deeds, deed auctions, and we also track foreclosure auctions. So there's a lot going on in Florida. It takes a second. Like, this calendar is so thick that it's the slowest loading one on our auction calendar. So let's look at 2023, and you can immediately see there's 300 or 400 auctions every month. So why don't we use our filter here, and let's look at just the tax lien auctions. We're going to filter out deeds and foreclosures for now. So when we look at just the tax lien auctions for 2023, even that's slow. So you can see May had 25 auctions, and you can go look at the history of those using the tools here on the map or on the list. And then you can see June had 34 auctions. So that is that tax lien auction season. Also, those were all on June 1st, if you see that. Whereas the May 15th is when they started. So you hit a heavy concentration that early June auctions, where a lot of them happened at the same time last year. There are multiple websites that host these auctions online. Each of those offer you different bidding tools, so you don't have to be in person. You don't have to be online necessarily during the auction if you set some of your bids up in advance. It's good to watch what you're doing and adjust as you go, but just wanted you to know you can participate in multiple auctions since they are online. In contrast, we do have Florida tax deed auctions, and we're going to check those out here. Give it a moment. And those go throughout the year. You see 40, 50, even 70 plus per month. And those deed auctions are going to be smaller in number. You're talking like this one had 8 properties in it. That one had 2. But they're going to be much more frequent. And if you're a tax deed person, these are going to be where you want to focus your time. We can flip over to 2024 and see on the calendar that we already have 50 of those auctions tracked in January, another 29 coming up in February, and more coming March and April throughout the year. And one last pit stop on Florida. Let's check out the foreclosure auctions lastly. These are not necessarily tax properties, but they are interesting to a lot of our investors because it's another way to buy in Florida. You're looking at a few hundred auctions per month. So if you want to shop those auctions, this is a great way to do it. You can map all the properties in the county or map just what's in the auction. Or if you're a list person, you can list everything in the county or just the properties in that single auction. And if we list the properties in the auction, it looks like this. If we want to go a little deeper, now we're looking at, this is an occupied property, and this tells us how to and where to bid online. So we walk you through those steps to get you all the way to the front door of the auction. Switching back, let's talk about Oklahoma. So we do have over-the-counters in Oklahoma in a few counties, and those are year-round purchases. But the main Oklahoma deeds happen all in June from what we've tracked in the past. We do have some new counties requested for this year that we will be tracking. So if you know Oklahoma well enough to suggest any other counties, we may not have them yet. Feel free to reach out and make sure we're covering the ones that are interesting to you. The same story for OTCs. But those tax deed auctions that we've seen in the past are going to be in the June timeframe. And I believe everything we've seen so far is in person for that. Moving on to New Mexico, we thought that the tax auction season last year was pretty much in June, but actually it spilled out from September through December as well, where these auctions were announced and just sort of popped up on the calendar. So let's take a look at New Mexico. Nothing in 2024 yet, so let's take a look at last year. And you'll see we had auctions in June that we tracked, and then moving on into September, they picked back up all the way through end of the year in December. Late in the year, the 21st was the last auction. So these are in-person auctions, and they are tax deeds. If you want to shop on those, you will need to plan travel if you don't live there. So let's check out Arkansas next. And Arkansas, very much like New Mexico in the fact that the auctions are in person if you're going to the annual tax deed auctions. I want to explain the OTCs on this one because it's confusing. The OTC, which are the over-the-counter properties that you're buying direct from the county, the leftovers from previous years of tax deed sales, those leftover OTCs are actually sold in an auction format too. But those auctions happen one property at a time, year-round, and they're little miniature auctions that are always running 24 hours a day. You can go shop the leftovers. We help you do that with our website. You can search and filter and read up on the details about the property, and then you go place a bid. So technically their auction season, it is year-round for those OTC leftovers, but their newly issued annual tax deed sales seem to happen from July to September. And we're going off last year. Every year we've tracked Arkansas, it has looked different. But let's just talk about 2023. You'll notice this is the hot spot in the season from July through September where the auctions were happening. Now, in 2022, it was March through September with a gap in June. So there were extenuating circumstances, though, because what happened was they canceled the 2020 sales and then held them a year later with the 2021s spilling into 2022. So 2022 was the largest auction season we've ever tracked. You'll see 2021 only had a July through November season, and you won't see 2020 on our website because we were tracking those auctions, and you know what happened in 2020, which caused us to cancel those auctions, and we just pulled them from the website since they didn't happen. And those properties were sold the next year instead. So if you think about it, we've watched 2020, 2021, and then 22, but 2023 was our first typical year where it was just that year's deeds for sale. So I'm going to base my thoughts on 2024 off of that year, which is 2023, because I think it's most likely going to look like that this year. You're going to have auctions from July through roughly September that are in person, tax deeds held at the different locations in Arkansas in person. So plan your travel carefully. Now they do spread them out, so if you wanted to take a trip to Arkansas, you could, throughout the course of a few weeks, hit multiple auctions. Usually when you see these auctions on the same day, we break it out by county for your convenience on the website, but a lot of times what you'll see is it's actually there in the same auction where several counties have gone in together and decided to host it together. So that helps you out with your planning as well. You don't necessarily have to go be in two places at once if you want to shop these. So that covers Arkansas, and now we can move on to South Carolina. There are a few over-the-counters in South Carolina being tracked now, but by and large, the best time you're going to be finding the most properties on Parcel Fair for South Carolina is going to be preparing for those September and October auctions. 2023 was our first year tracking those. Let's see what it looked like. We tracked October and then into November, and lastly a little bit in December as well. So there was, I know there's more auctions that we're going to be pulling this year, but that was our first take on South Carolina. So it's going to be kind of quiet for the next few months. We might see some OTCs pop up, but really that later part of the year is when you'll want to start prepping for South Carolina. Similar story with Colorado. This was our first year tracking their tax liens, and they're going to be later in the season, more October, November. You'll be prepping for it around September and learning when and where the auctions are specifically. But it's worth calling out that you have foreclosure auctions tracked on Parcel Fair throughout the year as well. So let's see what that looks like on our auction calendar. So in 2023, you're looking at, we started tracking in April, the foreclosure auctions. And in 2024, you can actually see the foreclosures there too. We're already tracking into 2024 quite a few auctions that you can plan all the way out into April. And again, in 2023, if you're looking at tax auctions only, the majority of them landed in November. And so these were tax lien sales that we tracked across the different counties and different auction sites. As most of these states, you can check out our other videos on Colorado. We do cover how the auctions work, how to research, and a lot more information on that. New Jersey, this was the first year we tracked, I think 12 months at least. We tracked the whole year for New Jersey, and that was fun to see what their season looks like. It does go throughout the year. They do have auctions every month, and as you can see, some of the months are light on auctions. And then when you get to the later part of the year, it's worth calling out that October had the bulk of the auctions, 85 auctions in October. So that was the big concentration. And then November had 25, and then December hit again with 76 auctions. So the last 3 months of the year had the majority of the auctions, but there are opportunities throughout the year to buy. And even in 2024, you can see we have 3 auctions we're tracking right now with a few hundred properties in each. So you really can shop year-round in New Jersey if you're not picky about which municipality you're buying in. A lot of options out there. There's another video for that. If you want to learn more about New Jersey, we can help you out. Next up is North Carolina. This is one of the last states we really started tracking heavily last year. And so let's take a peek at the calendar. We're talking about tax deeds, but North Carolina actually calls these tax foreclosure auctions to make it a little more confusing for you. But in 2023, you'll notice we tracked 80 of those auctions in December. And then in 2024, we're already tracking quite a few. We have 45 so far this year, going all the way out into February. And these auctions are different than what you're used to. They do happen. They're handled by attorneys that host them. They're not. They post online, but the auctions happen in person for the most part. And you'll want to watch our video on North Carolina auctions if you're thinking about this market. But it looks like it will go year round, and we have not seen any gaps yet. So that's why we have the deed calendar filled out all the way through December for 2024. That's what we're expecting. Next up is Tennessee. Also a year-round state. They literally let the counties put the auctions not only on whatever month they want, but the counties can even skip years. It can hold up 2, 3, 4, 5 years and batch up a bunch of deeds and sell them at their discretion. So Tennessee is maybe the hardest one to predict, except for the fact that we know to be ready every month of the year for these tax deeds to go to auction. So let's see what last year looked like, what we were able to track. Actually, we're in 2024. So last year, funny enough, the only month we didn't have an auction was in May. There may have been some in-person auction somewhere in the state that we didn't track, so I left it. I think it's still safe to say Tennessee is year-round. I don't think anyone skipped May on purpose. But the way the distribution laid out for the year, there wasn't really a heavy month. They just kind of were all year. I guess you could technically say March had the most, but even then it was only 8 auctions. So Tennessee, we keep track of these and just keep track with us so you can know when they're coming. And in 2024, we're already looking at a few auctions coming up. So these are smaller auctions, but in general, these are appealing tax deeds that people really like to buy. So that's how you would track Tennessee with us. And again, if you wanted to, for instance, let's see what's in this auction. Let's just view it on the map. So there's the properties on the map. They're also in the side panel over here. So you can view, let's see where this property is. And yeah, so you're looking at an acre of property with a trailer on it in this case. In this case, we're looking at this wedge of property with trailer on it as well. So this is a quick way to start zipping through what's in the auction. This one's 0.8 acres, and it's just a beautiful state, all the greenery and trees, but we'll check this one out. It looks like it's on a creek, and it's in this upcoming Wayne auction. You can click on that and see where and when the auction is and see how to register and find out more information about that tax sale here. So that covers Tennessee pretty well. Let's go to our final state, and we left it for last because we just got started in this one. We're talking about Ohio, and we're talking about specifically their tax deed sales. We have not delved into their tax lien market yet. It's not as appealing from all accounts that we've heard as the tax deeds, which are sold at what they call the sheriff sales. So we're starting in Ohio with these tax deeds, again, from the sheriff sales. so far, I think we only have one calendar. One auction, one county. Sorry, on the calendar, and that auction we're tracking it out all the way through into February now. And so, if you wanted to see what's available, let's just look at everything in this county instead of just one auction at a time. I would say map all properties in the county. So right now, there's 51 parcels available for you to look at in the county, and they so far look like very appealing properties to be considering. You can scroll down the right panel here and get a good view of what's available just based on that. Let's check this one out. So it looks like it's a home with a side building even on this, with a vacant property coming up. The amount due would be the starting bid for the auction. It's at $40,000, and the county valuation is $49,000. So it's not going to be, in this case, as massive of a gap between the starting bid and the county valuation. But sometimes you'll see better deals than that. Still could be a good deal here. I don't know. It would be something maybe worth looking into if you know the area and are an Ohio investor. Let's move on and check out a couple others here. Let's see. How about this one? Yeah, let's go back to satellite. It's a very dense area here. I think I know people that are investing here for rental property potential, and you can kind of see with the dense housing, this may be a good fit. So this is an occupied property in this case, so you want to keep that in mind. But this sheriff sale, you can find information about it by clicking upcoming auction here, and you can see the taxes due, how to register, other information about the auction. And this case has the opening bid's $53,000 and the total value is $82,000. So you can see there's a little bit larger gap in that one for opening bid and county valuation. But so far, Ohio has checked out pretty well for us. It looks like a good place for us to track going forward. So you'll see throughout 2024 a lot more counties showing up to fill out this market for you. It just looks like an appealing place to be investing. So now that we've covered Ohio and our newest states, that takes us to the end of our calendar. So let's talk about what's next. So like I just mentioned, we have the tax deeds or sheriff sales coming in from Ohio, but we're also looking at Ohio's land banks to pull in as well. So that's something you can look at coming up. We also will be looking at Louisiana very soon. We have tax deeds, adjudicated sales that we're looking at there, and that's looks like a pretty interesting state for year-round investing as well. Virginia and Texas are the next two. So we have tax deeds in both, tax deed auctions, and Texas has struck-off deeds that we're looking at. I don't know how soon that will be on the website. We have a lot of work to be done to get these 4 states in, but lastly, under consideration, we have more states. So again, these may not show up necessarily in this order, and they may not show up necessarily. There could be other states that jump in line. In fact, if you have states that you know are perfect for us to pull into Parcel Fair, tell us all about it, because we'll take it into consideration. Sometimes we leapfrog and jump to one of those states sooner. So we're always keeping an eye out for the next best state to pull in. So help us out if you know any, and we'd love to take your ideas under consideration as well. And lastly, thank you. We had an amazing year in 2023. Thank you for your support. We're looking forward to big things this year. We love getting to know our users and talking to you all, because some of our best ideas and some of the best challenges for us to make the site better come from you. We love some of the honest, constructive critiques that you give us and your ideas about markets and how we can better serve you. So let's stay in touch. I'm excited to get started this year. I hope you are too. I really hope this video was helpful to you while you're planning out your season. And remember, keep in touch with us on our channel here, because we're going to be announcing auctions that we didn't talk about today. We'll be probably announcing states that we didn't talk about today. And as well as auctions changing, being canceled, and just things that change throughout the year. The best way to stay in touch with us is going to be on our YouTube channel, and just reach out to us on our contact form or the comments if you want to talk with us directly. All right, thanks for watching.